Hello and welcome to Vision Denial. My name is Sam, and if you're new here, I've watched every single playoff game of 2022 for all the regions. Yes, including that one. And I've dedicated this particular show for a review of Worlds of every day during the play-ins and group stage. And for the bracket stage, I've gone through now the quarterfinals as one video. And like the previous video and the videos before then, when I did a preview, this is a preview of the Gen.G versus DRX. I'm going to be taking an overview of all the different things here in terms of the matchup on a role-per-role basis and overall things and giving my thoughts. And just as a heads up, if you just want to know what I think Gen.G is going to win this one. They've been my favorite the entire tournament long. It's who I expect to win, but I don't expect them to 3-0. I expect it to be a 3-1. So if you want to see just the kind of stats that I use, I've linked it down below, the whole Google Doc that does that, and where I got my information. But, you know, without further ado, because I don't have much more to really cover from here, let's go through the matchups one by one. Starting off into the top lane, we've got Doran versus Kingen. And straight up, right off the bat, both of them occupy a very similar role. Very side lane focused, very weak side, very much side lane push 1-4 to team fight scenario, and then come back hopefully having a lot of impact. Their KDAs are like touching distance, literally 0.02 difference. CS per minute, literally 0.02 difference. Their gold per minute, literally by 11. In difference. Their damage per minute, 4 of difference. There is so little here that I can actually say that would really indicate a push of one way to the other. They both really play an incredibly similar role for each other, or a similar role against one another for their teams. And with that in mind, I don't see this matchup being even remotely pivotal, quote unquote, to either way that they would go, right? In fact, they share a large champion pool between each other. The only difference is who played the Gragas again? Oh yeah. It was Doran played the Gragas, and that's literally the difference. No, sorry, they both. No, yeah, that was Doran played the Gragas and the Renekton, while it's like the Fiora was played by Kingen. Right, like I am splitting hairs at that point regarding like impact wise, which is no edge on either side. Now we head off to the jungle, and just preface this, right? So we got Pyosik, who I don't know why he's got a mixed bag ahead of him. He at least has Juhan as the back pocket for the team, and we have Peanut. Upon initial look of these two, I was expecting Peanut to just blow him out of the water. And then I remembered the EDG series. Here's the thing that's really interesting between the two. Their KDA, their CS per minute, their gold per minute, so on and so forth, and their damage per minute are within close touching distance. The damage per minute is a notable exception here, as it's a 50 damage per minute difference. I was like, okay, interesting. Look at the kill participation. Peanut has a 5% difference between the two. That's huge amongst a huge amount of games that Pyosik has played way more. Or no, sorry, he's played marginally more. Like he's played 2 more. Why is there a 5% difference between the kill participation? Moving on from that, right? The kill share, the gold share, like there is an aspect here that I have seen with Pyosik. And this is primarily Peanut alone as a jungler is already more proactive. That's great. Pyosik picks champions that need proactivity and does nothing with them. Even the games where they win, they get massively ahead. They're doing so well. And yet somehow it feels as if he's doing nothing. Why are you so dependent on like Zeka and Deft and Kingen to do so much of what you need to do? I give this edge to Peanut heavily. And not because he is significantly better, but that's because Pyosik does not do enough. And Juhan is not shown to be that much better either, which is unfortunate because he had such a strong playoff run. Now, if you were to tell me that this matchup would be competitive 3 months ago, I would have laughed in your face really hard. We got Chovy versus Zeka. But holy shit, Zeka has popped off this tournament. I look at his stat score here. Slightly better KDA, right? Keeps close with the CS per minute. Has a better gold per minute. Slightly, but still better. The damage per minute, lagging behind. Kill participation, better. Kill share, better. I am surprised at how close this matchup actually is. I give the edge to Chovy. The Chovy factor is strong this year. But Chovy has not lived up to his actual performance he's had all year. His world championship performance has been rather lackluster, just to put it frank. And Zeka here has overperformed given how he's played all year. And honestly, I'm excited to see whether or not Chovy can actually be pushed into being a lot more Chovy than what we've seen him so far. Where's the gap in CS? Where's the gold gap? Where's the I'm everywhere around the map and out farming you, Chovy? I want to see him, because if we don't see him, Zeka might actually be the better mid laner. So I don't give a heavy edge to Chovy. I give the tiniest edge to him for now. And we head off to the bot lane. Ruler versus Deft. And again, this is the same kind of thing. If you were to tell me 3 months ago that this matchup would be close, I would be laughing. Deft historically has had a hard time performing well. Just overall sense. He's been part of a lot of really good teams, and he's a very serviceable, very flexible player. But he has not had the kind of influence, I would say, that Ruler has. But then he's just gotten better and better and better throughout Worlds in a way that's tangibly hard to actually emphasize. Deft was not even close to some of the best players in his role, and now he completely overshadows so many of them. And this isn't Ruler has the stronger KDA by far. But Deft has the better gold per minute, better damage per minute. He's got the better gold per minute, better damage per minute. He's a lot more influential. His kill participation and kill share is low, but I think that's primarily because he's a very serviceable bot laner. He does a lot of zoning tools. He's poking a lot. This is a thing that Ruler is not. Ruler is a team fighter, so his kill participation, his kill share is high. But when you look at the numbers in terms of damage applied and how much utility is being brought, Deft does a whole lot for his team. So I'm super interested. I don't have the edge strongly on either side. I want to lean towards Ruler, but there is not enough here outside of the fact that he is a technically stronger team fighter that gives me that want when there's a lot of utility brought in by Deft. So I give it hesitantly to Ruler. We head off to support with Lehends versus BeryL. the matchup of the mad geniuses. And I'm going to be frank here. The edge for me goes to BeryL, but mostly because he's brought up a larger champion pool for the tournament, right? The damage per minute and everything else does not matter. The vision play between the two teams is like marginal at best in terms of like who's better. Both of these teams have applied great vision denial, solid vision control. There's very, very little difference between the two in terms of that application. Both of them are very strong in team fighting, having only a 0.2 difference in terms of their KDA and their kill participation. Lehends has a higher kill participation, but I think that speaks more to the kinds of champions that BeryL has brought out, because he has like 112 damage per minute more than Lehends. And so like the difference here is that the kind of utility that BeryL provides is a lot of zoning tools versus like engage options that Lehends brings. Really just confirming that here. Yeah, Lehends brings a lot of zoning and utility, actually. He does a lot of enchanter versus BeryL, who plays, a lot of ones that do damage and is way into your face. So yeah, just by the playstyle alone, BeryL will deal more damage, provide a lot of tools in terms of zoning and ability to really enable this team to team fight. Lehends will provide a lot more utility and ability for his team to like survive team fights. I give the edge to BeryL. I like his playstyle more, but only slightly, right? Just barely to Crescent. Going over the overall matchups from lane to lane, seeing no strong advantage in one way or the other, looking over the stats, there is one thing that pops out to me. DRX has a stronger early game, but not by much. It is still stronger, so I expect that to be something that they lean into often, but that they have only a 63% win rate during the main events for getting their early game leads to victories. And that is the aspect of how DRX plays that has always worried me and made me be skeptical, and has made many people skeptical as soon as they enter the tournament. Their early game to late game, or just generally their proactivity in any stage of the game, is not strong enough for anybody to be convinced in one way or the other. Gen.G, for their part, however, has had a fairly weak and lackluster early game comparatively. They have had moments where they were incredibly strong in the early game, and I'm surprised they have not brought that forward. They have a better damage per minute as a team. They have a 100% win rate at 15 when they're ahead. They have a lower tower differential, though. They're lower in plates overall. They're just in general, like their heralds per game, lower. Their Nashers are lower. The thing that I think is the most interesting here is that they are better at controlling Drakes per game, right? They have a better chance of controlling the early game Drakes, and so they have a setup for win conditions regularly from game to game. But I'm a little concerned at how often they are so behind in the early game on average. But I do think that after the early game, the onus is on DRX to do something. Either they keep up their rate at being so good at the early game that they just dominate and keep control, but I want to see them not repeat what happened in the EDG series. Because honestly, as great as that series was, that should have been a 3-1 and not a reverse sweep. So I do think that in a general sense, Gen.G should have the favor. I previously thought, just upon initial look at this, even after the fantastic series that they had, that DRX would not be able to take a game. Looking closer at the numbers and going back over some of the games, it is clear to me that Gen.G is not as strong as what they were coming as, that people expected them, and that DRX is outperforming, and that there is Not enough of a strong case in either direction outside of possibly the jungle rule, but neither jungler has had the impact that is necessary for me to think that that's enough. There's nothing here so far that tells me that in one way, shape, or form that Gen.G is categorically the stronger team, despite knowing for a fact still that they are. They're just slightly better, not completely better. So for me, my final score prediction for them is 3-1. Still expecting Gen.G to win. They are still who I predicted to win the whole thing. And there is a little bit of a ramp up that Gen.G has been showing. They've been getting more and more comfortable as time goes on, but just not as good as the way DRX is. So it's just a matter of, does Gen.G wake up and all of a sudden stop? Or does DRX keep up their momentum and just keep improving better and better? I still think it's 3-1 for Gen.G, but I want to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think DRX has what it has to really edge out the win? Do you think the matchups from role to role are not really that close? We shouldn't actually consider it that, or do you really agree with me that yes, this is a lot closer than it should be expected? Any and all of your thoughts, I would love to hear them in the comments down below. If you like some of the stuff, I've got other videos over here, and also like and subscribe, all of the good stuff. I really appreciate all of those who are watching. And with that, I'll see you all next time on Sunday after the semifinals are done. Have a good one.